Some people say professional women are looking for submissive men. I don't think that's the case. I don't necessarily think a lot of women are looking for weak men, and frankly, it's going to be an individual desire. All women are different. Some women are looking for peaceful and emotional steady men. A man who doesn't turn every conversation into a power struggle. I think that's really important. And it's a very different thing than some of the men that we see. And we think masculinity automatically comes with like a big gruff and rough guy. You know what I mean? So today, let's talk about it. Come on in, grab yourself some coffee, tea, whatever you like. I've been thinking about the theory that some professional women, especially the women who are successful, they're educated, independent, they're already out there in the workforce, and they've already made a name for themselves. And they're used to making the decisions. They may prefer a more submissive man. Now, when people hear the word submissive, they usually think weak. They think passive. They think a man who just says, yes, dear, and lets the women run everything. But I don't think that is always what's happening. I think sometimes people are calling submissive is basically a man being cooperative, a man who listens, a man who doesn't need to feel like he's in control of everything. He doesn't feel threatened by a woman who has a voice. And honestly, that's not weakness, that's maturity. Here is where I think it gets interesting. A professional woman may spend all day leading, deciding, fixing problems, carrying responsibility, and they're dealing with a lot of pressure, and they have to prove themselves. Then when she comes home, the last thing she wants to do is have a battle. She doesn't want a man that she has to shrink herself to be around. She may not want a man who competes with her. She may not want a man who sees her strength as disrespect. She may want peace. She may want softness. Somebody she can talk to and tell them about her day without him taking offense or being belittled or feeling belittled because he's been home with the kids all day. You know, and that doesn't mean she wants to be the man. It doesn't mean she wants her husband to be weak. It just means she wants a partner, not a dictator. There's a difference between leadership and control. There's a difference between strength and intimidation. There's a difference between a godly man and a prideful man. A godly man can lead with love. A prideful man wants to win every argument. A secure man can listen. An insecure man has to dominate. A mature man can say, you're right, I didn't see it that way. Maybe think about it and process it and take some insight from it. Now, an immature man, he hears correction and calls it disrespectful. And that's where a lot of relationships get in trouble. Because some men were taught that being masculine means to be in charge all of the time and be in control. And some women were taught that if they're strong, they're just too much. If they have a voice, they're just too much. No. So now we have men trying to prove they are men, women trying not to disappear. And that's not a relationship. That's a tug of war. And nobody wins. The research that I looked at, it does not really prove that professional women are looking for a submissive man. What it points to is something more realistic. Women value warmth, kindness, stability, respect, and cooperation in long-term relationships. Dominance may get attention, but peace keeps relationships alive. And that makes sense, because when you're building a life with someone, You need more than just attraction. You need trust, you need humility, you need somebody who can handle hard conversations without turning cruel. Have you ever been into a conversation and all of a sudden everything's your fault? And for some women who already carry a lot of responsibility, who are bringing home the paycheck or the majority of the paycheck, that emotional safety really matters to them. Now, let me say this clearly. A woman being strong does not give her permission to disrespect a man. A man being gentle does not mean he has to be walked all over. Healthy marriage is not the woman ruling over the man, and it is not the man ruling over the woman. She has to where she has no voice. That's not love. That's control wearing religious clothes. The Bible says in Ephesians 5:21, submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. That verse comes before the verse that everybody likes to argue about. Submit to one another. That means humility is not just for wives. Servanthood is not just for women. Listening is not just for one person. Marriage is supposed to be two people under God, not one person trying to be God. Jesus was the strongest man who ever walked this earth, and he was not insecure. He served. He washed feet. He corrected people. He told the truth. He protected. He sacrificed. He led with love. And that's real strength. So when a woman says she wants a gentle man, maybe she's not rejecting masculinity at all. Maybe she's rejecting harshness and cruelty and dominance. Maybe when she says she wants a peaceful man, she's not asking him to be weak. Maybe she's asking him to be safe. Big difference. Maybe when she says she wants a man who listens, she's not trying to control him. Maybe she's just tired of being dismissed. But ladies, we have to put ourselves in check too. We have to really keep awareness, because sometimes independence can turn into control. Sometimes being strong can turn into being hard. Sometimes we say we want a good man, but then we don't know how to respect him when he's not loud, aggressive, or forceful. A gentleman, a gentleman, is not automatically weak. He's not passive. He's not automatically submissive. He's quiet. He's patient. And sometimes he is just healthier than what we're used to. So there's that to think about too. And men being a leader doesn't mean you have to overpower your wife. It doesn't mean you have to make every decision go your way. It doesn't mean your wife cannot speak. Be a good listener. Be a leader. A good leader protects the peace of the home. A good leader does not use fear to get respect, because forced respect is not really respect. It's survival. And you can ask me, because I'll tell you what survival looks like. If you're a woman, ask yourself, do I want a peaceful man, or do I want a man I can control? Do I respect gentleness, or do I mistake it for weakness? Do I give him room to lead, or do I criticize every move he makes? And if you're a man, ask yourself, am I leading with love, or am I leading with pride? Do I listen to understand, or do I listen just long enough to defend myself? Because the healthiest relationships, they're not built on domination. They're built on trust, humility, and they're built by two people who are willing to serve each other. Not compete, not control, and not keep score, but to serve. So, let me ask you again. Do you think professional women prefer submissive men? Some might. But again, it's up to the individual. I think many women are really looking for something deeper. They want a man who is secure in who they are, a man who is emotionally safe, a man who is not afraid of her strength, a man who really lifts their wife up, a man that he can be gentle without being weak. He can lead without being controlling. That's not submissive. Y'all, that is Christ-like strength. And that kind of strength is rare. When you find it, you better not mistake it for weakness. So, do you think modern women want submissive men? Or do they just want emotionally safe men? I'd really like to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think? Now, if you've made it this far, I want to thank you for being here with me. And if you like what you're hearing, go ahead and subscribe. Like my video, share it out, I'd love to discuss it. I love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. Leave me a thumbs up too. I guess I forgot to tell you who I was. I'm Kim from Built from a Broken Life. And I've been through things, so I have some insights to share. And I've really never been through something like this because I'm just a different kind of person, I think, because I have been, oh, sorry. You're going to hear some ruffling. So I have been controlled and manipulated, and I've been submissive. I have been controlled out of fear. I was afraid, and I was in survival mode for a lot of my life. And sometimes to tame down that fight or flight is pretty difficult. And God bless. Remember, love always wins. And leave me a comment. Thanks.